Hey everybody, my next guest is a very funny comedian who's out there working the circuit and could be seen on That Show Tonight with Michael Loftus, and she's also a regular at Governor's Comedy Club right here on Long Island. Here she is, the one and only Michele Fox. Michele, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very funny comedian who's out there working the circuit and could be seen on That Show Tonight with Michael Loftus, and she's also a regular at Governor's Comedy Club right here on Long Island. Here she is, the one and only Michele Fox. Michele, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. It looks like last week was a crazy week for you. A lot of milestones, a lot of family stuff going on.
I had a crazy week. It was all wonderful things. My youngest son graduated from high school. My oldest son, a few weeks before that, graduated from college.
Wow.
And we had the prom. We had a lot of, it was cool. It was a lot of good stuff. Very lucky and blessed.
That's awesome. And I always tell everybody with the family stuff, you got to savor the moments, because as you know, now you're starting to see them graduate and grow up and get college. It goes fast. And as much as sometimes when we're going through it, you're like, oh man, I can't wait for them to grow up and just get out.
But then,
but then there's like because I'm going through it too. It's weird because it's bittersweet. Because now I have time, I could do my thing, I could finally, because I was a dad at like 19 years old, so I started really young. And now they're off and running, and you feel like a little bit of like that empty nest syndrome, so
it's always, I feel like for me it's so mixed. Part of it is it's like wonderful because you feel like you did your job, you did a successful job, you have good kids. And then the part of you is like, oh gosh, now what,
Exactly. It's weird because being a mom, you're used to taking care of them and tending to their needs and things like that. And then as they get more and more independent, it's just a weird feeling that I think only parent could really understand what I'm talking about. Like that kind of sense of like what now?
Exactly. And anyway, they still need me every 2 seconds anyway. It's like it's really not much of a break at all. I feel like I'm working harder now than ever.
Because now it's a different set of problems.
Yeah, it's like buy me this, buy me
right.
that.
I need a loan. Yeah, I gotta get a car. I need my down payment on my an apartment or something like that.
And I'm constantly having to pack them. Like my kids, 2 of them went to sleepaway camp, so I had to pack my son Jack and my daughter. And that's a lot. It's 7 weeks packing. If you're packing for 7 weeks, you might as well be packing for 6 months.
Yeah, that's like moving. Yeah. So
why?
So now you got the summer free.
I'm so happy for a free summer. As long as I know everybody is happy and healthy and good, it's amazing. Yesterday I was in the city. It's just nice,
Yeah. So what are you going to do when you have the summer to yourself for at least 7 weeks? What do you plan to do?
One thing I promised myself is that I would read at least 2 to 3 books because I haven't had time to just read something for fun and enjoy. Like I'm always reading newspapers or, information to somehow use in comedy or something to write about. So I'm going to do some fun reading. I was thinking I might go on TikTok and maybe make some fun sketch videos.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like I've had characters in my mind. I want to do some really good comedy writing and get to the city, maybe go to some museums, see a couple of shows, and then every day exercise, keep busy.
There you go. That's awesome.
I have big plans.
And one book that you should read that I read recently was what's it called? It's Mike Loftus's book, Neither Stunning Nor Brave, I think it's called. You should read it. I don't know if it's actually really good. It takes place in a future world where everything, like after all the wokeness happened, like we can't eat meat anymore. It's all bugs, stuff like that.
That sounds amazing. I definitely, I'm such a fan of Michael Loftus. Honestly, it would make sense for me to read his book.
Yeah, he's awesome, and I definitely want to get into some Loftus stuff with you in a minute. But I just want to also say that you talk about going into the city and all that stuff. You performed at the comic strip live that was your first time performing there, right? And
Yeah, last night was my first time. And it's funny because I used to live on the Upper East Side. I used to live on 70th between 2nd and 3rd. And I used to go there all the time as a patron. So it was very cool to actually go there as a comedian and perform.
it's got to be surreal when it's a place like that you've gone to and probably seen some of the big names of comedy, and then there you are finally, after paying your dues, you're on that stage.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I saw Ray Romano there when back in my day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Ray Romano, I think that's where so many guys started in that club, like Eddie Murphy, Ray Romano, Sandler, um, Chris Rock. I mean, Seinfeld is obviously, always talks about the comic strip, and it's I got to go there and work there a few times doing stuff like recording Christy Miller's record and then her comedy album, and also doing a few other things with Mark Riccadonna over there. And
Mhm.
it's the sense of nostalgia and history when you walk through those doors. It just kind of hits you, you know.
It's wonderful, and that wonderful smell of popcorn, and it's
Yeah.
great. It's a
It,
great place to go,
yeah.
and like you said, though I did hear a funny story from somebody that I'm not sure if it's true, but I did hear that Chris Rock actually did not get past there. They passed on him.
I heard something like that. I think I heard an interview with Chris Rock where he what happened was, I think he was always competing with Adam Sandler. Like the two of them had, like, there were two young comics coming up. There was no SNL yet. It was all pre that. And Chris Rock saw this guy, Adam Sandler, climbing the ranks, and they were kind of competing with each other. And then what happened was Chris Rock got it's one of those, oh, that's like one of those kind of problems that's not a problem. Chris Rock got asked to be in an Eddie Murphy movie, so he had to go to California to shoot this movie for so many weeks. And then when he got back, he found out that Sandler got passed, and he didn't because he wasn't there. So
Oh, that would happen.
that's the story I heard.
Well, that
Yeah,
would make a lot more sense to me because Chris
yeah.
Rock is a genius.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, so he was complaining about it in this interview, and I'm sitting there going, dude, you were doing a movie with Eddie Murphy. What's the problem? Like, yeah, you want everything. Jeez. But what was it like getting up there? And tell me, was this a goal of yours? Was to kind of conquer, the city?
Absolutely. I love playing Long Island and I'm so grateful for that. But, as a comedian, you want to come up, you want to play New York City, you want to play everywhere. That's the dream, that's the goal. So, yeah, it's really cool. A lot of people, comedy is really for the young people mostly. So I'm getting to this much later in my life. So I am like pinching myself every day anytime I get anything. I can't believe it. You think sometimes when you get older that your time passed and that oh, I didn't. So I try not to think like that because I say, well, maybe I can, and just keep opening doors and keep going. And I know, people, oh, you're too old, you're too old. You never know. There are roles for everybody, and everybody has something to say, and there are audiences of all ages. So, as long as an audience relates to you, either as a young person could relate to me as a mom, maybe find them, or let's say people my age, they go to comedy.
Right,
So,
exactly.
so it's really cool that I didn't like let my dream pass me by. I'm able to do it, and I'm happy that to be there.
I think that's awesome, and I agree. I don't think it's ever too late to do anything, and I think as long as it's in your heart and it's coming from a real place, that transcends through. And I think when you take the stage, it transcends through that you're having fun up there, and when you see the entertainer having fun, that becomes contagious, and that kind of goes through. It's the energy that you bring, and you have very positive energy that is contagious, and yeah, you just feel good being around you. So kudos for that.
I feel the same way about you.
Oh, thanks.
But I think it's when you're somewhere not because you have to be there or you're a slave to the money or a slave to the work. If you're doing it because you love it and every minute you're there, you're like, thank you, God. Thank you for letting me be here right now. If you feel that way, and, I guess I hope that the energy comes off that way and people know that, I'm happy and that I'm like doing what I love and living my best life, I guess,
Yeah, you're doing great, and like like I said, you keep climbing the ladder. For the few years that I've been back in New York, I've just kind of watched you kind of like just go from MC to feature act now to into the city, working with you with Loftus and all that stuff. But when did you actually get started doing stand up?
So it's so funny because since I'm like, I would say since I was like maybe 8 years old, I was obsessed with stand up. I was obsessed with sketch. And so my dream was like to be on Saturday Night Live since I was a little girl, obsessed with Gilda Radner, all the women of Saturday Night Live. And then even the women from like a show called Laugh-In, like Goldie
Oh,
Hawn,
yeah, Goldie Hawn.
going way back. But still, it was like, that kind of entertainment. And then, I got older, maybe towards earlier in high school, and I fell in love with Joan Rivers and Eddie Murphy. So what happened is I loved all of that, but I didn't really go for it. I think I was just too afraid to go for it. So I didn't. And so I was working as a writer in advertising. And when I had my kids, I stopped doing that for a while because I had to take care of the kids. Well, I wanted to take care of the kids.
Right.
So when the kids got a little bit older, I said, let me take a writing class, something, exciting and interesting. And I really love comedy, and that's my dream and my stuff. I'll take a comedy writing class. So I Googled it, and Governor's class with Rich Walker came up, and it was stand-up comedy writing class. I said, well, I was writing a book at the time.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, this will help me with my writing because it'll help it clean, like a setup punch and stuff like that. It'll make my writing better. So I took the class, and I did not know that the final exam was you performing it, and I was freaking out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What year was this?
Oh, so I'm sorry for the long answer.
No, this is great.
It's about now, I'd say it's about 6 years ago.
Wow. So there you go. You're taking the class with Rich Walker and Peter.
I love them. And Steve
Oh,
Lazarus.
Steve Lazarus was there when yeah, excellent. So now, what point did you find out you have to actually perform stand up for the to graduate?
Well, I think a couple weeks into the class is when I realized that I had to that this was going to be a whole performance thing. I mean, I guess I knew early on, but I hadn't really thought about it.
Right.
Then I was like, holy shit. They said, okay, you have to post this on your Facebook page. So I didn't tell anybody I was taking the class. I didn't tell anybody anything. All I did was they made this flyer up, and I just stuck it on my Facebook wall and didn't even tell anyone to come. I just put it there and said nothing. And then everybody I ever knew in my entire life, people who I went to kindergarten with, showed up. My sorority sisters, about 18 of them, showed up. Everybody. There were people I hadn't seen since I was in 12th grade.
Wow.
It was crazy. So I think about like 80 or 90 of my friends showed up, and it was at the brokerage in Belmore, and I was flipping out. So I ran in the bathroom to see if there was a window so that I could open the window and leave, but there was not a window. So I stayed, and it went well. And then one door opens into another door. So then, James Dolce asked, who owns Governors, he asked another comedian who ran the open mic, John Ziegler, to find me because I had so many friends and I brought so many people. It's like, oh, get this girl back. And it went well. So they did, and it just, doors kept opening. And I was lucky because James Dolce believed in me. He kept bringing me back. And he said, I want you to be an MC. You have the personality for it. You bring people in. He liked me. And I just got so lucky that somebody like that believed in me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And James is a great guy. And when you have somebody like James in your corner and somebody believes in you, sometimes that's all it takes to give you the confidence to pursue your dream even further, is when you have that one person that really believes in you and willing to take a chance on you, and sees that in you. It could definitely change your life, you know.
It changed my life. Rich Walker helping me and opening that door and making comedy fun, that changed my life. James Dolce, he changed my life. All my friends are comedians now. It's just, it was an amazing, he introduced me to so many people that I wouldn't even know if I wasn't in the club working there.
Yeah.
So I was just so blessed and lucky to be, I guess, to be in the right place at the right time.
When you're making the that transition from, like, a regular person, right, with a regular life and family, and you're transitioning now into comedian, which is taxing on your time, your nighttime, your weekends, holidays. What was that like, especially in the beginning? Like, what kind of effect did that have on your life? Just that kind of transition into being a full-time comic.
It was definitely an interesting transition because, well, my husband was very cool because I supported him when he changed careers, and I always supported him. He went to school at night to get his MBA, so he was nice. He was like, "It's your turn." My kids were flipping out. They did not want me to do that. My daughter was like 7. She's like, "It's so embarrassing, Mom. What are you talking about? You're talking about our family, So it definitely, like I definitely had to handle things delicately. And even in things I say, when I wanted to make fun of things like her dances and dance recital, I I had to be aware of the fact that maybe the friend's parents will tell the kids what I said and it will get back to my daughter.
Right, right.
Well, it definitely comes responsibility. I can't just go on stage and say what I think is funny if it could hurt somebody else. So, like people who are divorced or don't have, who don't have that, well, maybe the kids are older, they have a lot more freedom in that regard.
Yeah, it's got to be tough too, because a lot of material pulls from your real life. A lot of times, just comedians in general. So it's hard when you have to, be like, all right, I can't talk about this, even though it'd be hilarious
Yeah.
to tell this story. It could, can embarrass my family, or if their friends find out, or things like that. So yeah, I guess it's this kind of weird thing.
But now I more go for it because the kids are older and they don't really care as much. They're like, go for it. Sometimes I change the names or I change it up a little bit, but
And now 6 years in too, so now you could tell the stories. Now that your daughter's older, you could tell the dance recital stories and all that stuff. Now, yeah, and now they're more accepting of you. Now this is who you are. You've now fully transitioned over. You're a comic. They know this, and that's mom's job.
right. And the kids trust me. I don't think I embarrass them. Like for example, my son just went to the prom. So that was a whole experience. And of course, that's something I want to talk about on stage. And that's something I'm talking about, you know. And I think it's nice because it's relatable to a lot of people who come to the club. Their kids are going to the prom, or the kids who are actually going to the prom. So,
Yeah,
you
if
know,
you do a prom show or something like that too, you have all that prom material, and I think Long Island does proms differently than most other places too. With the
Brown does everything differently.
the limos and the whole deal. I don't know if they do that other places, but
My son actually had a prom house that he went to in the Poconos for 4 days. He and 30 of his friends rented a house, total debauchery, no parents. And I'm like, oh, okay. I
wow.
don't know how I agreed to this.
Wow, that's awesome. I wish I had a prom house when I did the prom.
Same.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But but now, like I said, I've met you through Governors and all that stuff, and you came through the Knock 'em Dead show, the Green Room shows, all that kind of stuff. I've seen you perform a bunch of times, but we really started working together through that show tonight with Michael Loftus, who, if you don't know who Michael Loftus is, he's like a producer, writer, stand-up comedian. He's a panelist on the Gutfeld show. He's a conservative comedian, super talented guy, great dude. How did you get hooked up with him and kind of recruited into the cast, because you're one of the cast members. It's a sketch show. That show tonight, it's a great sketch show. And the show is awesome. In fact, when I talked to Loftus in the beginning, I had Loftus on the show. That's how I met Loftus. And then I mentioned you, and he actually said that you remind him of Goldie Hawn from the Laugh-In era. From the Laugh, yeah. He goes, Michelle's got that Goldie Hawn vibe, like from Laugh-In, you know. So I think that's interesting because you brought them up.
Great compliment. I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
What does that say for? You make me tingle. You make me tingle.
So how did you meet Loftus, and how'd you get put on the cast?
So I met Michael Loftus through Governors, and he was there performing, and I was regularly emceeing, and he would come in, and we just started chatting, and we had a good conversation. I thought his act was brilliant and always funny, and sometimes I would get off and he would give me a tip or something, in terms of like not like a financial tip, but like maybe a comedy tip or a tagline for a joke. Say, hey, try this if you want. And so I guess that's how we became friends and friendly. And then over time, I said to him, you have to meet my friend Joe DeVito. He reminds me of you. You write so similarly. You're both so brilliant and so talented. So I wanted to put them together. And then Michael Loftus had a show where I think he was doing with Joe. It was at the America First Warehouse. He had Joe on. He said, hey, why don't you be on the show too? Do a spot. So I said, oh, I would love to. So I did, and we had a great time, and it went well. And then he had another show, which I think was at a brewery, or I don't know if Joe had the show, but whatever. The three of us were together again. And I guess conversation went into that we both love sketch comedy. And then he was working on the show. He said, I have you in mind for something. And I was so lucky that he asked me to be a part of this show.
AOC, how much for a box of Hamburger Helper?
Hamburger Helper. So transphobic, okay? Hamburger Help Her? Why can't it be called Hamburger Help They?
I started it from the beginning. Maybe not the inception of it, but since it's been in New York, I've been involved in it, and it's really like evolved into like, I think some of the things that he creates, that Michael creates, like, I don't know, I think they're like almost like little mini masterpieces. They're so good. His sketches he's funny. He says something, it's different. It's a different message, not the messages that everybody else is giving. I think it's avant-garde. And I hope that the show really picks up and catches, it's starting to. It caught the eye of like Brian Kilmeade and Greg Gutfeld, and, it's gotten a lot of attention,
I've never laughed so hard tonight. I've been a comedy show before, and this one was beyond everything. It was great.
This is the second time you've been in the hospital because your head has been up your ass. I need to ask you something. Are you a Democrat?
Yeah, of course I am.
The Sabatini Family Protection Agency. We've been protecting people semi-consensually for over 200 years.
It's good old-fashioned fun. It's funny. It reminds me of Saturday Night Live in the 70s.
We've had like big people on the show, like Jim Brewer, and I had the honor to be in sketches and to perform with the great Jim Brewer, who is as nice and kind and sweet, and he was amazing to work with. And I spent like about 4 days working with him.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, with Loftus, like you said about his writing and his technique and being around it, and just seeing how he can just riff and then kind of develop a sketch idea is very impressive, and his angle on things is always great. And I think too, you add a lot to his vision and I guess think you guys work well together. I think the whole cast is really solid.
Gerard Michaels is amazing on the show.
Yeah, he's great.
He adds, I think he definitely brings a lot of great stuff. Michael's the vision, and Michael is definitely steering the ship, and he's just amazing. We have Jake Iannarino. He's a brilliant comedian. He's so good.
Yeah.
We have just great people like Attilio Rivera. I think that's how you say his last. He's amazing. He's kind of behind the scenes, but he keeps us all in check.
Right.
Jason Scoops. He's amazing
Scoop.
on the show. Scoop. He can do great impersonations. And we're just lucky we have the great support staff behind us, and it's like a family. Everybody is just nice and helps each other, and I learned so much because I knew nothing about sketch comedy, and it's very intimidating to work with these people. They are a different level, and Michael Loftus has produced major television shows. He's worked with movie stars, all kinds of people. So when he gives me direction, I don't want to interrupt him and ask him questions. He is having visions, and so I have to, it's a pleasure to listen to watch his creative process.
Rolling.
Right, head's coming down. You're looking at the camera. Jacket comes off. Jiff. Sunglasses down without nuts. Don't take them all the way off. Just peek over the top of them. It's like a little secret. One more.
And Gerard will give me little tips here and there, like don't look at the camera, or look at the camera, or stand. It's unnatural when you're performing in front of a green screen, and when you have cameras coming at you, and there's also a live audience, and it's lucky for me because I really didn't have any experience in that, and I have like top-notch professionals who are giving me an education in like the Evelyn Wood version of it, like the fastest version. And and every week and anytime the show is done, at the end of it, I'm so like, oh my God, I made it. I'm so happy. Like I just want to be able to hang with these people because they're a different level.
And now to bring you the title match for the UFC 289, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan here, UFC 289. I just got done with the DMT trip where I communicated with interdimensional clockwork elves. Tonight, we have an amazing match between two men. No holds barred, anything goes, no rules. Let's meet our first fighter, Steve, the Barbarian McAllister.
Yeah, I want to dedicate this fight to all the dreamers out there. Don't let anybody tell you that there is something that you cannot do. Look at me. I'm Steve the Barbarian. I'm a man. Look at me.
All right, let's meet her opponent at 285 pounds. Sheamus, the walking felony. Jameson.
Yeah, baby! Let's do this! Woo! You're mine, baby! Woo!
I'd like to call off the fight.
Too late, you're contractually obligated.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm a woman.
No, you're not, Steve. Let's get ready to fight. Oh! 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 I think I saw an ovary go flying by. That can't be an ovary. Steve's a man. Oh!
Yeah, because you're doing like we do some recorded sketches on the green screen. That's where I come in. I'll edit those and all that.
You are amazing. You add so much to the show. The editing is so important. It's critical. And honestly, you bring so much talent, and it's appreciated by everybody.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, and I love doing it. It's a lot of fun, and it's run and gun because you only got a couple of days to get everything turned over, and we're doing like 9 to sometimes 12, 13 sketches, and that I have to flip. But what I was saying was, like, you're doing these kind of pre-recorded sketches on the green screen. You're doing live sketches in front of the audience. On Friday when the show is, it's a process, man. That week is it's like Saturday Night Live. It's like, you start on Monday or Tuesday, and then you kind of work all the way through, and then Friday is the show day.
Definitely. And it's like we will work like till midnight or even sometimes a little bit later than that. But it's so great. Even at the end of the night, you almost don't want to go home. It's like you're having so much fun. It's fun. It's fun, and it's fun that you get to almost have that instant gratification of seeing we shot something yesterday. We went home, we went to sleep, we came back, and there it is. Like we're looking at the sketch with all the effects and all the editing work that you did to it.
I'm Jeff Probst, and this year on Survivor, we're taking it to another level. Welcome to Survivor Epstein Island. These contestants are going to have to outwit, outsmart, and outlast each other if they're going to survive Epstein Island. Prince Andrew.
I never knew Mr. Epstein. I'm just here for a spot of tea.
Bill Gates.
There must be some kind of mistake. I only had dinner with Jeff Epstein 36 times.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I've never asked anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do. I need to speak to my lawyer.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
So if I win, I get $1 million. I don't think that's going to be enough.
And Bill Clinton.
I love this island. I love this game. I can win it all. I never want to leave. They got activities. I'm going to crush that hide the cigar challenge. Y'all, I want to win.
And on the season finale, we will reveal the client list of everyone who's ever been to...
It's pretty awesome. It's a fun process. I love doing it. Like I literally, of all the stuff I do, my day job and everything else, this is what I love the most, is working with all of you and doing this, being a part of it, because it's just so fun. And it's a great group of people. Like I couldn't ask for better people to work with. But yeah, it's a blast. And I was going to say too, when you're doing it in this day and age, when you're doing a conservative show at the America First Warehouse and all this stuff, do you get any flack from the other comics? Does anybody ever say anything? I mean, how is it being a conservative comedian out and like that everybody knows you're conservative, and what's that like?
I don't think I have any blowback from anybody really. To me, it's really about being funny, and it's not about being offensive. Like my goal is never to offend anybody. My goal, and I think Michael's goal is the same. I know it is. It's to bring joy and it's to bring laughter. It's not to make anybody feel badly at all. It's to bring a laugh. And anything we do is really with the intention of being funny, and that's it. Meant with, pointing out the things that you would make fun of, or you would not make fun of, but that you would find humor in. That's really the goal of the show.
I think it's like a breath of fresh air, because there's not a lot of like for that audience, there's not a lot of entertainment or comedy geared towards the conservative audience, and also, like you said too, I think it is wider. I think people can enjoy it no matter what your political stance is, because they are all funny, well written, and all that.
It used to be. I mean, I think it's sort of like what Saturday Night Live used to be. I think they became, and believe me, I'm not attacking Saturday Night Live. Like, I'm obsessed. I love everything. I love anything funny. But what I'm saying is there used to be more of a balance of things that you'd laugh at, and so we're kind of giving, in this show, a little bit more of the balance of that. things are funny that, you know, people are avoiding talking about.
Exactly. And you write a lot of the sketches too.
I would say I definitely help I write or I bring in, but you know, even when I come with something, Michael Loftus will take it and put his spin into it, and you know, and everybody, I guess, I think everybody kind of adds a little bit to it and builds character. And you take, you know, something, I may have an idea, and then Michael will redirect it or direct it a certain way. But yes, it's exciting, and I love the part of the creative part. I love not just the acting, I love the writing and seeing stuff come to life.
The writing stuff's always so cool for me to watch, and sometimes I'll contribute, I'll throw out something there, and then what's great about Michael Loftus is that he listens to everybody. He takes in any idea from anybody. Like I'll just be sitting behind the camera or something, adjusting the lens or whatever, and I'll just yell out, you know, I'll be like, Epstein did it or something. And he'll be like, oh, that's good. And then he'll work it in to his next line somehow.
Yeah, it's because he respects you and he trusts you.
Right. Yeah.
I definitely think that it takes, like, not a lot. It takes a little time because you're working with people and you have to know that you can trust them and that they're not just, you know, and so it's really to your credit that you shout something out and he wants to go with it, because it doesn't always go that way.
Right. Yeah. We got a good circle of people that work there, and those shows will come monthly. I think they're playing the next one end of July. I don't know if you got any dates or anything yet, but I think that's what I'm hearing. So
I didn't get the date yet. I can't wait to get the date. I'm so looking forward to the next one, especially because unfortunately I missed this last one. But you know, I'm looking forward to the next one. And it's fun because he definitely changes up the format of the show sometimes. Like sometimes we do panel now, which the panel at the end it's a different way of doing it, and I enjoy that. I think that it becomes a discussion with comedians, and it's serious, but yet it's pretty funny as well. And I think it's a nice way to cap out the show with the sketches and where there's music. It's kind of a variety show, but yet, you know, current to the second, and you know, and news, kind of with a little bit of a news vibe to it.
So maybe now networks failed, cable failed, so now Twitter and other media outlets will open up for conservative voices like ours.
I think people could go to thatshowtonight.com.
Giddy up.
Yeah, exactly, because he keeps it topical. So whatever happened, you know, the week before is always going to be in.
Even the night before, you know,
Yeah.
the changes, there are topics. Something happens like 10 minutes before the show and it's going in. And that's the other thing. So Michael Loftus always does a monologue before the show. And I'm like, what are you going to say? And he's like, I have no idea. And then he goes out and blows everybody out of the water. We can't believe what the stuff that was in his head.
That dude, man. Yeah, his improv skills, and just like you said, just be able to go out there and just do a whole set off the top of his head. It's just crazy. And for us, like you said, you feel honored to be part of it. I feel honored to be a part of it. I'm just editor and host this podcast, and and here I am working with all of you. This is
but you're
amazing.
so talented. But yes, it's exciting, and
yeah,
the show has so much potential.
I hope it gets picked up by something. That you look at some of these outlets, these networks that are hungry for content, and here we have the show with all this talent behind it. I'm hoping it gets picked up. That'll be a game changer,
I agree. It's cool. It was Brian Kilmeade came and he brought his cameras and he featured us on his show, and it was definitely helped for the show, and it helped pick up some subscriptions and things like that.
What is That Show Tonight?
That Show Tonight is a comedy show. It's a sketch comedy show. It's a musical show. It's like what used to be super popular on television, but now you're not allowed to do it because of cancel culture and the woke agenda.
Really the right-wing answer to Saturday Night Live. It's the right wing, it's the people's voice. And we're laughing and making jokes about things that have been taboo for so long. Things that as comedians we do behind closed doors. This is what the audience gets to see, and we can make it as outrageous as we'd like to.
Whoa! Look at this fellow over here. Look at that. Ooh, I want to smell your hair.
So, you know, we just have to keep going and producing good stuff. And I know that, like, in the beginning, we would post things and it was slowly building and building, but now we're getting like 1 million views, and you know, it's really picking up.
I think he said in June or something like that. I forget what the actual stat is, but I think it was something like close to 12 million views overall from like all the content that they put out. Yeah, so it was like something crazy. He announced it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's huge. That's huge. So it's really picking up steam. It's getting a lot, you know, more and more popular. And yeah, like, you know, I just have a great feeling about it. I think, you know, I think big days are ahead. So, you know, and
knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm knocking on wood right there. Man.
So you are the man with the producer, director, you're writing. Do you offer a 401k? Do you offer sick days? What kind of human resources?
This interview's over.
Tell me about the Long Island comedy scene, the camaraderie, and you know, some of the high points that you've discovered, you know, doing all the governor stages.
All right. Well, first of all, I know this is gonna sound like whatever. I just love. I feel so lucky. Like that, Governors is what opened the door to everything for me, and so I feel really lucky and blessed to be part of the Long Island comedy scene. I think that over the years, people have like, it's become, how can I say this? A lot more women, it's become a lot more women friendly. Not that it was not friendly before, but now I see more women involved than ever before. There's a lot of like young people now who are coming through the doors who I see. And it's funny because, okay, so because of my age, older comedians kind of took me under their wing because I have in common with them life experience, work experience, maybe even though my comedy years are only 6 years comedy and somebody else may have 30 or 20 years of comedy, but in life we're more equals, you know, in that regard.
Right. Yeah.
So I've been lucky to have those friends, but the people who I'm coming up with, a lot of times they're much younger than me and they're wonderful. And I'm seeing like these young people who are coming up, like watching them come up and watching them go places. And like this Joe Cravella, he's now like a regular MC and he's a sweetheart. And like and there's other kids like Christian Hahn, I see him, he's on his way. Like all these, Stephen Rocco Perillo, he's, you know, at the clubs now. And when I started, he wasn't. And
right.
I see Olga Namer. Olga is going to be on America's Got Talent. It's huge. Or at least to me it is. It's a national television show.
Yeah, that's huge.
I hope it, you know, pushes her even further along. So as far as camaraderie goes, I root for everybody. I'm like, you know, like I watched the show Friends, you know, so many years, and I see that like the people who aren't friends, they didn't look at each other as competition and didn't fight each other for lines and fight each other. They loved each other and they made an ensemble cast that was a show that was amazing. Same with Seinfeld and any of the other shows that. So my approach is that I look at everybody as friends. I want to see everyone succeed. I root for everybody. And for the most part, I've been received very well by people. And, you know, sometimes things are different. And it's not always, you know, it's not always the Brady Bunch of comedy, you know, but
I think,
for the most part,
I see the camaraderie, especially at the governors clubs, is huge. I think everybody's very supportive of each other, wants to see each other succeed, and I think there might be some healthy competition, and with you need competition in order to outdo yourself, and so I think healthy competition is good. I don't see any negative competition where sabotage somebody or bad mouthing another comic or anything. I haven't seen that, and I think it's been very positive.
I think it's positive. I mean, I'm sure it must happen. It's not like I said, it's in the Brady Bunch, but for me personally, I don't see it, and I don't want to live in that environment. It's just toxic. So,
Exactly.
if you don't contribute to that and you walk away from it, it's easy to just, get away from it.
To not see it. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, if you don't contribute to it, if you don't put it out there, you don't see it as much. You don't get it. So that's good. And I think that's part of the what makes you great is like we said before is your positive vibes and all that stuff. And when you get on stage and you're just, I mean, your material is just great, and just your stage presence, like everything about you on stage just radiates. And I think you give it all out there, man.
Thank you so much. I just want to be better. Like for me, I don't take compliments great. I'm trying to like suck it up and be like, thank you.
Yeah.
I just I'm like, oh my God, I did this wrong. I did that wrong. I have to give it. But at the same time, it's like, I try not to be too hard on myself, and I try to just keep working. And sometimes things happen, and I just say, put your head down and just do the work. Just put your head, don't waste your time looking at what anyone else is doing, because it doesn't matter in sense of that. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. This is in a way you have to do yourself. You want to help people, you want to root for people and all that. But at the end of the day, you have to be true to yourself. You have to tell your truth. You have 7 minutes on stage, or you have 12 minutes. What are you there? What do you want to say? Why are you there? So you hope that you're there to bring joy, or to tell your story, or to get something off your chest, or whatever is everybody's personal reason for being on that stage at that moment.
That's awesome. Now, when you take your 10 minutes, your 12 minutes, and you go to the city to perform it there, are you nervous because it's a different audience than what you're used to? Like, it's not Long Islanders, it's going to be who knows who in the city. It could be like, it's such a melting pot, and all these visitors and things. Did it intimidate you at all, or did you just do it business as usual?
No, anytime I go to a brand new place, to a new stage for the first time, I was definitely nervous. I'm nervous. I don't get nervous like anxiety and issues, but I always have a little bit of nerves before I go on stage, even at my home clubs. I think it's healthy. I was definitely nervous. Last night when I went to Comic Strip Live, I was nervous. I wanted to have a good set, and it meant so much to me. And at the end of the day, probably no one was paying, any attention to it was important to me, but it's definitely, I was definitely nervous, and you want to know the room, kind of get a vibe for a room, get a vibe for a stage, and see. So I feel like I did fine, but I feel like if I have another opportunity, and hopefully I will soon, to get back on the stage, now I know the room, now I know the stage, so now I kind of have a better idea of, I'm prepared for the next show. So I wouldn't have wanted to tape my first set there. I taped it, but that wouldn't be something I would use. But the second set there, I expect it to be like comfortable and more conversational, and
Nice.
I already know the room.
There you go.
You feel that way too?
When I perform, yeah, man, I always get nervous. I remember I did stand up in the late 90s, early 2000s. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I thought that was going to be what I was going to be. And but obviously I moved on to other things. But what happened was I remember my whole day I would be nervous. The entire day, from the time I woke up, day job, going to the club, I was just nervous wreck. And then right up until they said, and now here he comes, everybody. Here he is, Don SILL. That's when it went away. And then I just snapped into it. hey everybody, what's going on? And I would just do my 5 minutes. Yeah. And I would see guys up there like headlining, was like, because a lot of times I did open mics. That's pretty much all I did at Governor's. McGuire's was my club, was my main club. And I would go there all the time. I think it was Thursday nights was the open mic, and Joe Starr would be headlining, Greg Vaccarello, Paul Bond, all these type of guys, different nights would be headlining. And I remember just seeing them go up there and grace the stage and make it look easy. Like Joe Starr, holy crap. I don't know if you've ever seen him perform. He's just so smooth up there, man. And I just remember being like, damn, like that's where I want to be like that. But all it took for me was one really bad bomb. I bombed really bad at this college in Stony Brook, and Tim Gage was there, but he doesn't remember the story. I tried to, this is like 20 something years ago. I bombed so bad. Stevie GB was in the audience, and Stevie GB was sitting there like this, just looking at me, and he's just like, and it's scarred for life. So I bombed so bad, people got up and walked out. So it was horrible. Yeah. So after that, I never recovered. I didn't have the same confidence, same swagger on stage anymore. So that's that's my
So that's when you switch. But I have to tell you, to the world of cinema, it was a gift. You made a phenomenal, I guess, would you call it a short film?
Yeah, it's a short film called Comic Sans, and thank you.
It is so good. Oh my gosh. The only thing wrong with it is that I wish I wrote it. It's so good. You killed it. Everybody was just amazing. Everything about it. I loved everything about it.
Wow. Well, that's huge and means a lot coming from you. It's a tremendous compliment. And
so long story short, they're putting together a cop movie with Vin Diesel, and they're looking for an unknown to play his funny sidekick. So she wants me to come down and audition.
Congratulations, but good comeback.
I keep getting in the ring, only keep getting knocked the fuck out. And this was supposed to be my time, George.
Whatever happens, happens. The thing is to keep your head in the game. Persevere. Consistent persistence, my friend.
It's called show business, not show friends, okay?
You guys are unbelievable. Holy shit.
And yeah, it came from the heart, and writing that, we're writing, more episodes. We're trying to make it a series. I definitely would love you to be a part of it. And that would be huge. But yeah, when making that kind of did put closure on my my short-lived stand-up career from like 99 to 2001. And
well, you never know. You don't have to put a close on it. You could have just put it on pause if you want.
I thought about it a few times. I'm like, hey, like every once in a while I get inspired and I'll write a bit, and then I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, because then I think about all that goes into it. And like I always tell people when I talk about leaving stand-up, it's like if I didn't have, you have to put 100% in. You can't put less than that because it shows on stage. You're not going to be at your full best. You know what I mean? You have to put all your eggs in that basket. And at that time, in the beginning I was, and then slowly I was doing I was going to school. I was doing a bunch of stuff. And then I just decided, I was like, if I can't put 100% into this, I can't pursue it anymore. And then combine that with that really bad bomb story. But maybe I'll dust off the microphone.
Yeah. Because you know what? I think that when you really think about the fact that you have so many other things going on, you don't really have anything to lose. So maybe there'll be a piece of that you're there, and it will just feel a lot safer, and you won't worry about it.
That was what was great about when doing that movie, was when we shot my scenes when I was on stage doing comedy. Mm-hmm. The audience was all extras and they had to laugh. So if I can just get that all the time, that would be awesome.
That's hysterical. Well, that's true. So that could be back. You're bringing back into. You'll see if you make them laugh. Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Hilarious.
So, what are your goals now? Like short-term goals and then long-term goals with stand up. Where do you see yourself taking this?
Well, so short term, I want to develop, I guess, so I'm featuring now. So I would like to do more featuring in the short term. I would like to develop a very strong, just make everything strong, tight jokes, and just continue in that direction. I'd like to be honest and make sure my jokes are honest. I'd like to get rid of some of the jokes that I have that they get laughs, so I keep them, but that I think I'm past them now, and I'd like to do, that's my short term. I also want to take an improv class at probably Citizens Brigade in the city.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I just looked that up, so I'm probably gonna take a class there. That'll help me, I think, both on stage and with that show tonight. So those are my short-term goals. Maybe go back to doing some writing. I was writing a book a while ago, and I got about 7 chapters in, and I never, so maybe go back and write some more about that. And like I said, do some TikTok sketches and develop some characters.
Baby, I was thinking this year on Valentine's Day we could do something a little special.
Oh, yeah?
I was thinking we could bring someone else into the bedroom.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Bruce, he said yes!
Oh my gosh!
No.
Well, Michelle Fox, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me.
Thank you. This was awesome. I had so much fun.
Yeah, this is a blast. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all that good stuff.
Okay, so follow me on Instagram, Michele Fox Comedian, MICHELE, not 2 L's, just 1, comedian. So that would be, I really need followers, so I'm hoping to get followers. Second place you could get me is on Facebook, Michele Fox Zaremski. Also, come see me at Governor's. I'm there so much. I post, and I'll post when I'll be there again. I'll post as soon as I know. And definitely come see me. There's so many funny comedians there. And then also subscribe to That Show Tonight. And if you want to get a taste of That Show Tonight, go on Instagram and put That Show Tonight, and you'll see the official logo that comes up, and you'll see different sketches, some with me, some with the amazingly talented cast. And you could click on them. You could see Don's amazing work. And so you get a taste of it, and then subscribe. It's not expensive, and it's a really, really cool show.
Awesome. You're the best, Michelle.
The best. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Michelle Fox, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.